Snow day. We had a snow day Wednesday. We went to school Thursday, but then we had a snow day.
So I want the source from the podium, right?
So Thursday was the only day we went to school.
Council view, council view. And I think the camera shows the, okay, then we're good. I can change the camera again. All right,
Yeah, there was a snow day because I almost forgot to.
Brian, we're ready.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
Great. We will call to order the February 20th, 2024 Public Arts and Culture Commission. Kathy, can you please read the roll call?
Yes, Mr. President. Ms. Carrington? Here. Mr. Daly? Ms. Lloyd?
Here.
Mr. Parthamore? Adam Ramsdale?
Here.
Brian Stanley?
Here.
Cable Steineman? Martha Weichel?
Here.
Annetta Voldyka?
It's Władka, and she's in Poland, so.
Yes. Jeff Crable?
Just got a text. He said he's on his way, got tied up.
Michelle Newell?
Here.
And Aaron Blair.
here.
Great, we received the minutes from the last meeting. Any questions, comments, changes, revisions to the meeting minutes? If there are none, I do have one revision, as I recall, the 2024 work plan. It's marked as 10,000 contingent. I think that was 5,000. Does anybody have recollection of that? I think that was the $5,000 number that we put aside for the Eclipse Festival discretionary funds.
Yeah, because I
Right.
have it marked 10,000 as contingent, and we took a vote.
Contingent for what?
Contingent money. That was,
Oh, there's 10,000 in excess of the budget that we detailed out for projects. And that might be what that was referring to.
That's what
I'm recalling from that conversation. So above the budget that we put out in each line item, there's an additional $10,000 in our account that's not accounted for. And that would, I think that the commission wanted it contingent on any changes in this year, that you could come back around and budget that somewhere if you wanted to.
We didn't put a number on the festival, right? It was just,
The festival
On the-
does have $5,000.
Yeah, we did put a 5.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
okay.
thought that's what this contingent money was about. But
I
maybe
think
I'm
that was the money
mistaken.
that
That's in
she kept
addition to-
referring to as,
Yeah, I'm
we aren't
remembering now.
spending the full budget, that there
Yeah.
was a portion that we always kept like,
Yeah, that little float number.
planned over.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what that's referring to.
All right, I am mistaken, sounds like. Probably should have watched the video again. Any other comments on the meeting minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving into old business. Does anyone have any items of old business? New business. Aaron?
Thank you. So I'm bringing a proposal forward to you today, and my apologies, our counterpart, Mackenzie Spriggs with Destination Sandusky and the Greater Sandusky Partnership was not able to be here, but I'm going to make this presentation and facilitate the discussion on their behalf. So as we've talked about, there's an event coming up called the Total Eclipse of Sandusky to celebrate the total eclipse, where we will be in the center of the path of totality and are expecting, I think the team that has been planning this over the last year is planning for anywhere from 100 to 300,000 potential visitors to the region. There are regional events and the City of Sandusky event on the Shores and Islands homepage. You can see they've created a custom logo on the bottom of the slide for this event. We have a custom logo for the event in Sandusky, and the City Commission has even they've read a proclamation or accepted a resolution or something to call the city Sandusky for that week. So it's going to be a big deal. There's a schedule of events that are on our website currently. So on Wednesday, April 3rd, there's some cosmic education with the Cleveland Museum of Natural History senior astronomer Nick Anderson. On Thursday, April 4th, that date comes out as 4/4. There's Jeep Clips, a celebration of 4x4s. I think it's going to be pier full of Jeeps. And then Friday, there's going to be a movie screening and pavilion plant takeover. There's a movie screening on Saturday, Twilight Eclipse, and then Saturday through Monday, there's a music festival. So they have multiple bands lined up already. Those are on the city webpage right now. And then the actual eclipse event is Monday, April 8th. Most of the schools are closed. I think they're having a teacher day. Like, we really expect the streets to be full of people, and many of them locals and many of them coming from other areas. I heard Mackenzie Spriggs mention that they're basically planning for the entire state of Michigan to drive to the north coast of Ohio to watch the eclipse. So we have in the work plan, the Arts Commission reserved up to $5,000 to participate in some sort of arts-related project for this, and we got to work brainstorming on what that might look like. So that's described as Project 7 in the work plan. It's just discretionary funds. Like, if we figure out something to use that money for, it's a short timeline, obviously, between now and April 8th to pull something off. So we got together, and by we, it was me and recreation staff, Jason Whirling, and then Destination Sandusky, Mackenzie Spriggs, Amanda Smith-Rasnick with Shores and Islands, and Jason, Mackenzie, and Amanda have been on a team where they've been planning for this event for over a year. So there's been a lot of brainstorming and things that they've come up with on what's happening. So what we got together to talk about is the potential for the Arts Commission to support a few public art installations that we could place around downtown that would really help people move around and help that foot traffic move around the city. The major event is going to be on the pier, so it's kind of like, can we get people up off the pier and around the other storefronts and everything, since they're going to be here, really help that visitor experience. The folks that are here from out of town feel welcomed and interested to participate, and maybe generate some interaction. So what we have for you today is a proposal for the use of funds for the creation and installation of up to 5 temporary art installations to enhance the visitor experience and encourage walkability downtown. And this is a collaboration, but obviously it's not going to be managed by staff. It would be managed by Destination Sandusky. The picture that's on this slide is a pair of giant eclipse glasses from the city of Dripping Springs. Is that Texas, Kathy?
Yes.
And Kathy's talked with them about how they designed this and installed this. So that's just one idea. So we brainstormed 6 ideas, and again, the proposals for installing up to 5 of these. One is the supersized eclipse glasses, one is some sort of logo mural, one is a before the next eclipse in 2099 idea, and an artistic sun and moon, and chalk art, and a map. And I'll walk through each of those kind of ideas a little bit. And again, they're really high level at this point. It would be basically, if we get your approval tonight, then the lead, Destination Sandusky staff would get to work on how to involve artists and how to actually implement these and get you a little bit more details by the next meeting. So the supersized eclipse glasses, this is an art and kind of an information education opportunity. The way that the city of Dripping Springs did this was they had their eclipse art on the outside, but then if you go on the inside of these, it had details on where to go to find the events and the NASA website and stuff like that. So if we did something in Sandusky, we could use that to highlight some of the events going on in town, in other cities. We could, say that it was featured by, supported by the Public Arts and Culture Commission, and then somehow engaged artists to create the artwork to put on the outside. I think that could range anything from like one single professional artist to design what that looks like on the outside to engaging a 4th grade teacher and having her class paint it. So it really could vary on what the end product looked like. The one from Dripping Springs, they had their whole eclipse event looked like this, and that was all art from their eclipse event. So we just put a expected budget of between 1,200 and 1,500 on that. Kathy actually has reached out and gotten a couple quotes for potential installations of using either metal or kind of the corrugated vinyl, like a political sign, that material, to create something like this. So it would be temporary, it would just be up for at least the festival, if not a few weeks before, for information and education. The next idea is a logo mural of some kind. So the Total Eclipse of Sandusky mural is here on the left, and on the right is an example of how we were envisioning using that to create, like using chalkboard paint and plywood to create something that people could sign and they could say where they were from, or they could write on it. We understand that this would require some monitoring just to make sure that it stayed family friendly, but it can be a great way to activate vacant storefronts and get people involved and create kind of a great photo opportunity and ways to interact with something in the built environment. The next one is before the next eclipse. So if you Google "Before I Die" murals, there's a number of cities have done these, and it's basically asking people kind of a bucket list question: what would I do before I die? And the idea is that we would say, what would you do before the next eclipse, which will be in 2099? So it's not quite as morbid, but similar bucket list question. And this is a similar installation, would be inviting people to interact with it. The budget expected would be for plywood and construction, chalk paint, that sort of thing. We also discussed a potential interactive map, like could we show a map of the Midwest, a map of the world, ask people where they're from, and people could draw on it. The picture on this slide is the idea we discussed of seeing if we could print something on static cling material and put it in a storefront so it would actually go on the window and people would use dry erase markers to write on it, just to give it something different so it's not like chalk, chalk, chalk. The only picture I could find online of an example is like people, in an office meeting writing on their window, but that was the reason I used this image to describe that idea. The next one was a sun and moon sculpture. So there was we had a couple different conversations about this. One was, if you look on the bottom left, I picked kind of a high art image off the internet, but we were like, what if we got an artist to create a sculpture that had a sun and a moon, and if you view it and you line it up just right, you're looking at it, it creates an eclipse. But if you're on the side of it, it's a sun and a moon kind of independently. So that was one idea. And another idea was, what if we have one of those boards that you put your face in with a sun and a moon and some sort of eclipse thing, and it becomes a photo op. So we really went like two different directions in this conversation, but those are a couple ideas for that line item. And finally, chalk art is a great way to activate spaces, weather permitting, obviously. The one with the sun and the moon I found on the internet, but the one that has Maddox on it was actually engaging younger kids in creating some live chalk art. This, if it's happening during the festival, can be a great activator because people are curious to watch the artist's work, and then you get this great temporary piece of art for the event day. So again, these are high-level ideas. They are kind of in their infancy, and we brainstormed and we identified that GSP does have project management capacity to take this on if you support it. So the request would be to move to approve the proposal for expenditure of up to $5,000 to support up to 5 public art installations for it to be used that week, April 3rd through 8th, as a part of the Total Eclipse of Sandusky Festival. And I recommend the following conditions if you did want to approve this. First, that a written progress updated is submitted to me so I can distribute that to you in the time before your next meeting on March 19th. So you get a little bit more details of what they're planning to do with the money. And then 2, that the disbursement request would be submitted in one single invoice after the projects are all completed, and that would include a detailed accounting per project, not to exceed $5,000 total. And I'm open for any questions.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
I gave
say,
you kind
any
of a
questions or
lot all at
comments
once. And
For Aaron?
yeah, I would have liked to give this to you in your packet a week ago, but it's, like a short time frame. We got everybody together, we brainstormed, we're trying to figure out, what can we do that's meaningfully interesting for the community and that the Public Arts Commission would like to support.
Just to clarify, we already have this money set aside specifically for it.
Yes, the money is set aside, and what we called it was the just discretionary funds. It's on that. It's project number 7 in our work plan, and it just says we're going to have a rare event. Things are going to happen. If we feel like it, we'll spend $5,000 essentially. That's very casual recap of what it says in our work plan.
Given the fact that we're going to have so many out-of-towners in, I think it's important for the city to put on a great face and put on a great show for this, so, you know, I'd like to see the ideas fleshed out a little bit more, but in general, I'm inclined to support this.
I agree. I feel like the projects at the high level are kind of really what this body embodies, if I can say it like that. You know, getting the public art out in the public realm, having the interaction with our fellow citizens and throughout the community, and I think it's a perfect opportunity.
My question is, what are you going to do with it when it's over? Like the big plywood that's like $500 to $800 and that everybody's wrote on, and what are your plans for that?
That's a great question. So we had talked about, like, could any of these be more permanent? How would you preserve them if you wanted to? Where would you put them if you wanted to preserve them? I think at minimum, it's really good photographs. But at best, if any of them are worth keeping and we hear, you know, a champion kind of rises up and says, hey, we'd like to have this and put it where else, we could bring that back to the commission to talk about if that works for you. But we didn't identify any potentials in that.
So nothing's like planned to be, well, obviously nothing's planned to be permanent, but we're talking about spending money on a sun and moon sculpture, you know, or the giant sunglasses, or even just the plywood and things like that. So
Yeah.
do you think, like, if we spent the money on somebody to come in and do a sculpture, like, if it's good?
Then we should keep it. Yeah, I think the sun and moon sculpture, if it went the direction of having an artist craft some sort of metal sculpture that had longevity, then that could be considered a piece of the permanent public art in the city. We would find a place to put it. That would be my assumption. And the other ones, I think, like the face board, if they make that, or like the chalkboards, I think would generally be temporary. I don't know what you do with them after, unless you wanted to spray paint acrylic over top to seal them, but then you have these big, I think the vision is that they're pretty big. What else? The static cling, I think, it's really just for that event, just for that weekend.
Okay, well, with like the chalkboard and everything like that, is there a place, like maybe so prolonged that maybe we could store that and just recover it so we don't have to spend the money again, like where it says like Eclipse? That way, you know, as the Public Arts Commission, as we go into other events, like we can bring that back out, and so it's not money literally being thrown away after this event, to gear it up together, like, because it's Sandusky when we have events all the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, just by changing the lettering on top, maybe to figure out a place to store that stuff, so we can just pull it out and say, hey, we're gonna bring this chalk back, you know, the big chalkboards back, and we're gonna do this for Iron Man or something, and have the commission involved, like, show that we're here supporting public art and public message.
I have an idea off the cuff. It just occurred to me that why do the glasses have to be custom art? It's, when they did them in Dripping Springs, it was for photo opportunities, obviously. But why couldn't the sunglasses be the backdrop that you would sign your name on?
That's a potential.
Why
Depend-
could the sunglasses not be blank and art pens or whatever be available that people can sign their name and then they would take their picture in front of it as a photo opportunity? And then the sunglasses could stay, especially if we got them out of the metal, as a piece of artwork somewhere, and people would say, see my name, I was there, you know, da-da-da.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I like agree with what Robin and Chris and Brian, were saying, I just think it's such a huge event. It would be really neat to have something that like is part of history that we get to save. Like I mean, I love all of those ideas, but I feel like if it rains, the chalk's going to be gone, and that's what Michelle was saying. Like, I think it would be neat to have something that is permanent, because this is such a huge, big deal. Like, wouldn't it be neat to have something that's like, we can keep as like part of history of like all the people that came and all of the things that were going on. So it would be neat to find something, whether it's the sunglasses or something else, like even in addition to what you showed, that would be forever. That, people could look back on, like, I was there.
At least for the rest of the year, because we
Yeah.
still have lots of tourists that come in the summer. This is on a Monday. I know, like, a lot of people will have to work and they'll have to wait to
Right.
see it on the news.
Right.
So at least, like if we had, when we were done, we had pictures, we had something that in the summer people could go, oh, that's how that was, or, something to kind of just leave it out a little bit longer so we can,
Enjoy it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Were there a functional element to the glasses? Because those could be made into like viewing boxes too, if done properly.
They weren't functioning of all the 3 places I called that did them, but I have to say, when I talked to Dripping Springs, Texas, they had national news. They were on national news because there have only been documented 3 pairs of oversized glasses like that made for the eclipse to date. So they made national news. I'm just thinking for Sandusky, that could be pretty huge.
'Cause that was
I
even-
don't know if anyone else has picked up on it, and they're doing it as well, but I thought that was pretty cool. They just made them out of like a thick, it was almost like the same material you see in regular sunglasses, but inside the glasses, they also put how to view the eclipse properly. These glasses aren't eclipse sunglasses, only look at the sun, with proper eclipse glasses. And then we could even put a plug to Shore and Islands if
Or
they still have
if somebody
their-
has glasses to hand out, that's where you would go
Yeah,
to get
because
them.
Shores and Islands have
Yeah.
them.
That was my other question. Are we handing out glasses?
There are, I know Shores and Islands is handing out glasses. There will be glasses available, and I've heard them talk about how they're going to roll out that communications plan. The giant glasses could be part of that communications plan, because it really will be a safety message over and over of that you need to wear proper eyewear in order to look at the eclipse. I think
Sandusky,
that's,
we already the staff got them
Did you?
already.
Yeah,
And then
St.
I
Mary's
think
did too, I think.
each kid will get a pair.
I think that sounds right.
Through the planetarium, I believe. I'm not sure
Oh.
if that's, but I was wondering if other
They're cheap
people
on
are-
Amazon too. They're cheap on Amazon too. We ordered some just to make sure we had them.
Yeah, I think there's a bunch of organizations ordering them now. So I think that it makes sense to request that the storage potential for reuse, could it be permanent or semi-permanent, stay up longer than just that week? We have there's a 6-week term. If you approve today, they have 6 weeks to make whatever happen, which is really fast. So I think I would shy away from making those conditions of the approval and maybe as requests as part of the discussion, just because it is so quick. But I think those are great ideas.
But what I brought up before was if they were placed in perpendicular with the sun, had like a pole, you can make each of those sunglasses a view, like would project this eclipse on the opposite side. Like if you just block off the sun for like a portion of the sunglasses. So you could make it a functional viewing for the actual eclipse. If you look on YouTube or any of those things, you can make those viewing boxes out of cardboard and foil. But it'd be good to consult maybe the guy who's the eclipse expert, but that's something that could be constructed. My worry is that anything that's permanent, the more permanent it is, the longer it's going to take to get it constructed. So it'd have to be, to kind of know what you're building pretty soon. But the other thing was if it was either a metal or a certain plastic, you have UV activated inks where you could have the sun maybe etch it during the eclipse and then cover it after the fact. So if the people actually signed it or did something, so it'd be something worth looking into.
That's cool.
So
So I guess what I'm hearing is there's a lot of support for moving forward with the 6 projects, and maybe have the group be able to narrow things down and give us a more firm report by next meeting. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well.
No, we don't have time.
You can't do it by next meeting. In a sense, I think we have to give our authority to Aaron and maybe Kathy
Yeah.
and just get it done.
Yeah, I do,
Because 4 weeks from now,
It's really close.
It's too late.
it's over.
right.
You think the final, so,
Yeah.
I mean, we would like to hear back, I think. and, like,
Yeah, that's why I put the condition of like, that get an update of what progress has been made. Like, if you move to approve the proposal for the expenditure and up to 5, then maybe next meeting, I can tell you, oh, they're going to do 2 or they're going to do 4, and they expect to do this or they expect to do that, and here's how they incorporated your comments, and just give you kind of an update, but that you wouldn't revoke the
No,
5, you know, like that, yeah.
I wasn't insinuating holding back.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Just
We
being part of it, like
You
finding
need the
out.
authority.
Yeah.
I would just say if you only think there's $3,000 worth of good projects, then
That's-
that's
Yeah.
enough.
That's
You
what
don't-
I was
you
gonna
don't
say. I
have
was
to
like-
Spend it
Yeah.
if something's not effective.
And
Yeah.
I think just from activity-wise, having a muralist there and then having just engagement in art supplies for kids that are around, just to be in that area for the hours before and after would just be something I think that would be, short-term good that our money would be well spent.
So you need a motion.
I would,
I'm not sure I should be making the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the requests pending the 2 conditions brought by Aaron.
I'll second.
we have a motion and a second. Kathy, or actually, any more discussion? No? Kathy, would you please read the roll?
Marcia Carrington?
Yes.
Robin Lloyd?
I'm going to abstain on behalf of the Bonnie Gallery nonprofit.
Chris Parthamore?
Yes.
Adam Ramsdale?
Yes.
Brian Stanley?
Yes.
Martha Weichel?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I will report to them and continue to shepherd the project.
Thank you. Any other items of new business? All right, any other motions?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion and a second, we're adjourned.
I think you just do this pretty
Fast.
Good seeing you. How's it?
Just keeping it warm for you, Chris.
They talked to.